Okay, looks like
You
we
got it.
are. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I know it's a really, really busy season for everybody. Um, but I was just feeling strongly led to do this call sooner than later with you. And I think before we begin, let's just go ahead and start out with a word of prayer, okay? All right. Lord, we thank you so much for this day. Thank you for bringing us all here from all of the various places we've been and the things that we've been doing. And thank you for carving this time out for us. I thank you for each woman who is on this call tonight and the ones who are not able to join us quite yet. God, would you just bless our time? We just know that you are here because we are inviting you into it. And so we just thank you in advance for what you're going to do, what you're going to teach us tonight. And may we just honor you in all that we do and say. In your name, amen.
Amen.
All right. So the very first thing I want to say to you, and I'm using notes, ladies, because I stay much better on track using notes. So, but first thing I want to say is that with some of the things I might share with you tonight, you might very well realize areas that you can grow in. Okay. So just know that whatever I share tonight is coming very much from a place of love, because I really want to see us all meet our goals and just really succeed in, in our purpose that we have behind just doing this together. So that's where I'm coming from. The second thing is that even if you have been practicing some of these things or you haven't been, it's okay. It's totally fine because as we well know, this is hugely a learning process. And I'm still learning too. 4 years in, and I'm still learning. We can always be learning something. And then the third thing you need to know is that I definitely do not have this all together yet. So I am still so much in the learning process of what I'm going to share with you tonight. And I'm really trying to develop it too in my own business. And so just know right off the front end that this is not a professional's guide by any means, but it really is just what I've been learning about, especially I would say over this last year is where I've really been trying to implement it a lot more intentionally. And so I just think it's a really valuable thing for us to talk about because, well, largely so that we can just keep up with some of the trends of social marketing because things are definitely changing. The way that things were, 4 to 5 to 6 years ago when the majority of our upline began, there were certain trends going on then, and now there are certain trends going on now. And so I think some of the challenge of what we are dealing with right now is that so much of what we're seeing out there in terms of how to market, how to brand yourself, what to share, a lot of what we're seeing is still like what was really on trend 4 to 6 years ago. And so I think the challenge of that is that because so many of us are still new, that's what we are learning to duplicate. And I think there's still some of that that's extremely valid and can be very valuable. But then I think there's also some other skills that we can learn that's going to really keep us up with the trends so that we are really really drawing people to us and just and getting the best results for the time that we're investing. It's like our time is precious, so let's make the most out of the time that we are investing in the whole social marketing piece. Okay. So please note that I really want this meeting to be totally collaborative. So just chime in. If you're feeling led to bring something up, if you have a question along the way, you can just unmute yourself and just chime in. You can even raise your hand if you need me to stop. I'll do my best to pay attention to your cues. But seriously, this is totally casual. Okay, this is just me following a direction I felt the Lord leading me in, and I just felt like I needed to do this for you guys sooner than later. Okay, so the awesome news is that you've gotten over the hardest part so far with sharing on social media, and that's just the fear of sharing, just putting yourself out there. So you can put a check in that box because honestly, that's one of the biggest things that can be the hardest. So now that you've kind of gotten over that, now we can really start to refine how and what you're sharing. Okay. So tonight, we're going to specifically be talking about how to use social media in a way that really attracts people to you versus possibly raising someone's guard or like even pushing them away before they even really fully understand what you're trying to share. Okay, so what this is called, most recently is attraction marketing. And so I'm going to try to explain a little bit about, what that looks like in terms of a lot of what we do still see out there on Facebook and even in our larger team. And like I said, our upline. And it's not that they're doing anything bad. I just think it's, for us to get the most out of what we're doing, we need to start learning some new skills too. So I'm hoping that we can continue to do this all together and compare and contrast ideas. So, but like I said before, times are changing in terms of what works or what doesn't work as far as marketing in general is concerned. And so right now, we're finding that the trend is that people really want to know, like, and trust someone before they are ready to make a buying decision with them. So you're going to hear those three words a lot. And I think if you can kind of keep those tucked in the back of your mind, that know, like, and trust, that is kind of your goal, that you're shooting for with anything that you're sharing on social media, or even as you engage with people in messages and that type of thing. Okay. So I think, it's very true that people love to buy stuff, they love to buy, but they don't like being sold to. And we probably can, I'm sure you can think of instances of that in your own life, whether you're shopping for a car or whatever. And it's really fun to go buy something, but those salespeople that will come up and they just kind of like, we all know who we're talking about. Not saying none of us are doing that, just saying. I want to set the record straight. But you know what I mean? Like there's that difference between buying something, but also being sold to. So what we're going to kind of do tonight is think about our Facebook and or Instagram pages, whatever social media platform you're using the most. We're going to think of those like a storefront. You can kind of get that picture in your mind. So technically, the cool thing is that your business is pretty much always open when you are active and you're posting and you're engaging on social media. So it really is an awesome opportunity for us to do something that we call branding ourselves. Branding yourself is just letting people know who you are, like what makes you, you, okay? That's sort of what I'm referring to when I say branding. So the awesome benefit of that too is that it is starting to give people that opportunity to know and to like and to trust you. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit of like, how do we do that? How do we really help people know, like, and trust us just by what we're posting on social media? And I think the best answer to that question is just by adding value. And so what I mean by that is, think of people kind of like, they each have their own little bank account, and so by adding value, it's like you're making deposits into their account. Every time you add value and you're sharing something of value on social media, it's like you're adding deposits into their account, okay? And it's really important that we're adding enough deposits into their account before we really can have the permission to make a withdrawal. And when I say withdrawal, I mean that's when it comes time to actually reach out to them, introduce them to the supplements, to the business opportunity, because you're asking something of them. But if we've deposited enough in their accounts, they're going to be much more receptive, when you're wanting to make that withdrawal. Does that make sense? Okay. So I love a quote I came across recently when I was just kind of processing this and getting some stuff together. There's a quote by Zig Ziglar, and he says, "You can get everything in life that you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want." And I think that's really, I love kind of using that framework, for Plexus. Is like, what does the other person want out of this? Yes, it's amazing to be able to build our teams, to build our business, but truly, like, we really need to continue to put the focus on the people that we're trying to help and serve and really think about what they want. And I think if we do that and we do that well, then in the end, we're going to all get what we want. And that, more time freedom and help with our finances and stay home with our kids or whatever your why may be. So all right, so if we are coming from a place of love and service and adding value, it's going to be a lot harder for us to come off as salesy. And I think I think I've talked about this with all of you at one point or another. That's all of our biggest fears. Like, we don't want to be known as that person, someone who's a salesy person. So I think as long as we're keeping that healthy perspective, then I really don't think that we can go wrong in this. So any questions or comments up to this point? I feel like I'm spraying you guys with a fire hose, so I tend to do that. You're good? Okay. So we're going to talk about how to add value to people in 3 key ways. And these are just things I've learned, since I've started kind of delving into this. And so when you're looking at your social media page, obviously we need to have variety in there. It can't be just plexus, 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 because otherwise people are going to start feeling sold to, so it's really important that you are giving people the full picture of who you are. So we're going to talk about that here shortly, but we can add value and we can kind of add that spice and variety to our page by focusing on 3 different areas, and that's to educate, to inspire, and to entertain. Okay. So if you think of those 3 things as you're deciding each day, whether you're sharing 2 to 3 posts a day, that's pretty average. If you can kind of do a fun and healthy mix of those 3 things, you're going to have a really nice variety to your page. Okay. Kind of looking through that lens then, and we're going to start talking a little bit about branding yourself. Like, how do you do that? And remember, that's all about helping people understand, what makes you tick? Who are you? And why should they know, like, and trust you, Because everyone's drawn to different kinds of people, which is a beautiful thing. But I think one of the easiest ways to start to do this, to kind of brand yourself, is think about at least 3 themes. And I think you could probably go 4 to 5. I don't think you want to go a whole lot above that, but think of like 3 to 4 to 5 things that you're really passionate about, that are easy for you to talk about. So for me, okay, so plexus, right? That's one for all of us. Plexus and or gut health, blood sugar, anything kind of related to plexus, natural health and wellness. For me, it's also my faith. I think that's probably obvious with what I share. I love animals, and I just, that's just part of me, and that's what brings me joy, and I can talk about them all day long. And then obviously, being a mom, family, anything like that. So I'd say those are probably my 4 biggest ones that I post. It's not that I never post anything outside of that, but those are probably my most go-to things, because it's really showing people, the things that are important to me, things I enjoy, and then it's going to probably attract people with similar interests. So we'll talk a little bit about that later too. Another thing too I like to do is post healthy recipes. I think that kind of fits in with my role as a mom and family and that type of thing, and goes really well with the natural health and wellness too. But that's to kind of give you an idea. So maybe, after this call, if you haven't started talking or thinking about that already, start to think about some of those things. Like, what am I passionate about? Or am I really good at something? Like, are you really good at knitting or crocheting? Are you really good at cooking? Are you an avid reader? Anything like that that really makes you is kind of what you want to also think about, that framework of what goes on your page. Okay. All right. So we're going to kind of start to work within these 3 categories of educate, entertain, inspire. And in doing that, you really want to add value, and whenever possible, just give people free content that's really going to want them to kind of keep revisiting your page. They might say, oh my goodness, I know she always shares really great healthy recipes for her family. I know where to go. And so it's going to be something that's going to kind of attract them back to your page. And it's kind of making those deposits, right? It's adding something of value, something that's going to improve the quality of someone's life by what you're sharing. And then they're just going to come to expect that from you. And it's going to really draw them to want to revisit your page to see what you're up to and what you've shared recently. Okay. So the one thing to know about this is, you know, while they might not purchase from you immediately, because sometimes when we share in this way, it's maybe a little bit more incognito. Okay. It might not be as obvious of exactly what you're doing, what your business is, what your products are. But when the time comes for them to need maybe something related to health and wellness because they're struggling, their memory is going to be triggered and be like, oh, wait, that's right. I remember her talking about something like that. And it's, they're going to remember that you're someone who's already been offering value to them. They're probably already starting to know and to like and to trust you. And so they're going to be much more apt to reach out to you, maybe than somebody else who's like doing that real bold splashing stuff on their page. Okay. So, all right. Anything up to now? Are we doing okay? Good. All right. Okay. So let's just talk a little about what these categories could look like: the educate, inspire, and entertain. And they're pretty self-explanatory, but you know, for educating, obviously Plexus fits really well into this category. But what I want you to start to maybe think of is kind of thinking outside the box. So rather than posting just on specific products, you know, sharing pictures of the bottles and just talking more about the products, if that makes sense, think about content that's maybe related to the products. So if you found an awesome article on gut health, Rachel, I love the info on magnesium that you shared tonight. That was fascinating. Just trying to think what else. You know, an article on blood sugar balance, or just anything, any type of education that can relate to anything that's related to Plexus in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't always have to be Plexus education either. Educate people about something that you just learned this week, like an awesome cleaning hack for your home. You know, anything that you think could add value and can educate somebody else. A laundry tip, a house organizing tip, anything that kind of fits in those things that you're passionate about that you want to educate about. So it doesn't always have to be educating about something Plexus, okay? All right, let's see. Yeah, some other ideas. You could educate about a craft that you're up to and do a live video and show them, you know, the process that you're going through. So just stuff like that. I thought a really cool example of this that I came across, I never really thought about this being a marketing thing, was Home Depot. And they offer those free classes all the time, you know, how to lay tile in your bathroom and how to do this. And I'm like, oh my word, that's totally, I think, attraction marketing. They're offering something of value, something that educates, and putting deposits in our account. And but then who do we think of when we need to go get materials for that project that we maybe learned, you know, are going to be more apt to go back to the store in which you learned it from. So I just thought that was kind of a light bulb moment for me. So it was just something to kind of think about of how can we get a little bit creative. It's kind of fun, you know, it gets the creative juices flowing. So the second category of inspire, this can look like all kinds of things. Faith obviously very naturally fits into that category. Just being positive, you know, sharing optimistic things, especially in this day and age. Oh my goodness, there's just so much negativity out there. And so any way that we can be inspiring and just a light, you know, for people, I think is going to be amazing. And you can inspire too with things related to your business, you know, goals that you're meeting or dreams that you're starting to dream, or just anything like that, that's going to inspire people to really know that there's more, and you know that they're capable of it too, because as they come to know, like, and trust you, they're going to start to see themselves in you too, and I think realize that they too can often want more in their lives as well. So, and then the third category, entertain. This is so fun. We can do this in any of the things that make us tick. We can do it Plexus. You can add funny things sometimes. People love engagement posts when you're asking questions, you want their opinions on things, anything like that that really gets people commenting is going to help. And then you can just go back and forth. You can ask questions back. To engage in questions in the comments is a really, really powerful way to kind of increase your visibility on your page and kind of getting it popping up on more people's walls and stuff. So that's one of my favorite categories for sure. Yeah, so does that help a little bit so far? Okay, good deal. All right, so as far as just, how to kind of form the framework of what you're sharing for Plexus each week, this really entirely depends on what your goals are and who are you trying to meet. So we're going to start to talk about that a little bit more specifically. But for me, kind of a general week, what it looks like for me is I don't strictly follow these, but if I'm kind of in the creative juices aren't really flowing, I'll kind of use like Monday motivation. I'll share something really motivational about people's health journey or just personal growth or whatever it may be. Testimony Tuesday, if you're stuck, you can always share an awesome testimony on Tuesday. Oftentimes on Wednesday, I'll make it like a Wellness Wednesday, and it will be just something generally related to health and wellness, mental, spiritual, emotional, physical, anything like that. And then the last 2 days of the week, I've been trying to get better about sharing a live video each week. It's still a work in progress, but that is a goal of mine, to continue to start just sharing more videos, whether it's me doing something I enjoy or educating on something and adding value in that way. And then I have been trying to put out more business posts because I'm recognizing that is a new passion of mine, is to really help women, find a new outlet that is going to enable them to reach their goals. And so that is something that I've been trying to put more in, where before I was much more just more product oriented, or just the health oriented. And now I'm trying to make it a little bit broader. So I am trying to sprinkle more of that as I'm getting braver with that. So, all right. Let's talk a little bit about your storefront. We're going to kind of go back to that. So storefront, AKA your wall or your Instagram profile. Okay. So think about the fact that just like there are multiple clothing storefronts, or drugstore storefronts, we've got Walgreens, we've got Rite Aid, we've got CVS, they're all kind of marketing similar things, but they're all a different storefront. So no matter what it might be, you're definitely drawn to certain ones, just, maybe for reasons that you don't even know. You might be like, I'm a Walgreens girl, and you might not even know exactly why, okay? And it likely comes down to the fact that there's just something about that company that really resonates with you, something that maybe just increases your trust, because maybe it's an experience you've had, or maybe it is the way they market, and you just like, but something about them meets your particular needs, okay? And that's why you choose them. And so with Plexus and just social marketing in general, it really works the same way, because we all know there are multiple Plexus storefronts, right? There's thousands now across the nation, and just, MLM for health and wellness in general. So we've got a lot of health and wellness storefronts that we are kind of all working, alongside. So the other thing too is that we are getting more storefronts in this particular community, which is an awesome thing. It's a really awesome thing. But I think what it's going to require us to do is to get that much more creative and think about, okay, what is going to set my storefront apart from somebody else's? It doesn't make it better. It doesn't make it worse. It just means it makes it unique to you. And because of that, it's going to draw particular people to you who are coming to know and to like and to trust you, okay? So the way that you kind of make your storefront unique to you is, first of all, in attraction marketing, it's about deciding who your target audience is. So think about, who is your ideal customer, or who is your ideal team member or your business building partner, And you kind of got to get a picture of them in your mind of who are you really talking to? Who are you trying to attract to you? Because there is a phrase in marketing that if you're trying to speak to everybody, you're really speaking to nobody because you're not really speaking their language. So I thought that was really powerful. So once you decide on really, who is it that you're passionate about? Like, are you passionate about other moms, stay-at-home moms? Are you passionate about people who are fitness gurus? Are you passionate about, and people with an entrepreneurial spirit? You just got to think about, okay, who am I passionate about reaching? Like, who really kind of lights my fire? And do I want to reach? And who would I even like to work with? Okay, it's just good to kind of start thinking about that. Because once you decide who that is, then it's going to be really helpful if you can start asking questions from their point of view so that you can really start to tailor your post or what you're sharing as if you were speaking directly to them. So it's kind of like getting inside their head, essentially, okay? Because who you're talking to is going to definitely color what you like, just what you're deciding to share, and then how you are deciding to share it. So I love some of these questions I'd come across the other week, and these have really helped me start to kind of hone in on this a little bit. So think about questions like, what is their deepest desire? Or what do they want in their life? How do they want their life to be different than what it is now? What are the things that keep them awake at night? Is it their health? Is it their finances? The fact that they have to leave their babies every day to go to work. Like, what is it that's keeping them awake? What's causing them pain? What are those pain points in their life that's causing them to want a change? What are they afraid of, maybe? And I love this one. What are they typing into Google right now to try to figure out? What are they seeking out? So I love to always ask the question, what's in it for them? As I'm thinking about what I want to share, what's in it for this person that I'm trying to really reach, okay? Because people are just going to automatically be attracted to you when you talk about what they are interested in. So it's really, really helpful to kind of put it through that lens, okay? All right, I love this quote. It's all about who you're talking to and who is listening. It's about knowing who you want as a client, offering real solutions that they need, giving real value, and speaking right to their heart. I love that summary. Okay, anything up to this point? I've gotten through most of the thing, and then we can definitely open up for more discussion and stuff. Nothing? Okay, you guys are quiet. All right. So we're going to look at the storefront again in just a little bit more detail, okay? And we have to remember, again, we are getting multiple storefronts in this area. So as wonderful it is that we have the privilege to share each other's content and to kind of make that our own, we also need to be really careful with that privilege too, so that we are still coming across as authentic. It's not that what you're sharing is not authentic and that you mean it to be authentic, but if the fact of the matter is we share a lot of similar communities, especially here in Michigan, small world. And so it's just going to be really important that we're paying attention to that. And so there's nothing, like I said, we totally cheer on duplication and borrowing each other's content. And that's an amazing tool. But we also need to recognize the fact that we've got to be careful with that so that we're waiting with a little bit of time before we're resharing someone's post, especially if they're kind of in this immediate area. A little bit easier when we've got out-of-state people or if we're drawing from their content. But I think it's wise. What I try to practice is always waiting at least a week. And that would be like my bare minimum. Wait at least a week before you share somebody's post, especially if they're here in Michigan, okay? And I would probably, I would lean on the side of a little bit longer, even a couple of weeks. But I think that's the beauty of that bookmark function in Facebook, so you can save your posts, you don't have to forget them. Another thing I love to do too is, even on the notes in my phone, if I'm really on top of things, I will, if I see a post I love, I'll put a date on it, like for 2 weeks down the road, and I'll start to make a log of the posts I want to share that week. And so it's like, it's working ahead. It saves so much time. For like, I know I love this post. I want to share it this month, but I want to wait a little bit of time. It's almost like teacher planning. You know, you're making your planning book, and you can do it a lot the same way with your posting. That's really, it's a huge time saver. So on the same token, you know, we're sharing each other's content. Make it your own. So yes, totally use the majority of what they have, but I think if you change the wording, you're making it sound more like you, and make sure it actually applies to you. I don't think I've seen anyone in our group do this, but I have heard of a few people who will copy and paste, and a post might say that they're talking about their 4 kids and they've got 2. It can happen. It can happen if we're kind of in a hurry and we're like, oh, I love that. It looks so good. We kind of skim through it, you know, we slap it up. So I don't think any of us have ever done that, but I just hopefully would prevent us any future pain just by bringing it up. So the other thing too is like just the wording that you use too. We've got so many fun Southern people in the larger team. And so there's these cute like y'all and this and that. But for me, anyone who knows me well knows I don't say y'all, right? It's cute, but I just it's just something I've just been thinking more about, is just making sure that if someone's reading it and they know, especially if they know me personally, that they would know that that is in my voice, you know, and that it's presented in a style that would fit me. So because yeah, I think people can pick up copy and paste pretty well, you know, if we're being honest. So it's just something to think about. And then same thing too, changing the graphics or the picture. The trend is that people will stop a scroll much faster when they see a picture of you, your family, you know, your pet, your something you're doing, versus stopping a scroll for like a product picture, because it does put up people's guard a little bit more quickly. Oh, she's trying to sell something. And so they're going to tend to scroll by that a little bit faster, where they might be like, oh, that's such a cute picture of their family. And then, oh, I wonder what she's talking, you know, and then before they know it, they've kind of read through your post and you've shared something really valuable with them. So it's just something to kind of think about as you're mixing up what you're sharing a little bit. It's not that we can never share pictures of the products. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I think we need to be really strategic about when we're sharing those things. So a close friend of mine, she has done just oodles of research and work on attraction marketing. And she was saying that a course that she went to last year, they were kind of recommending, if you kind of look at let's say you're posting 7 days of the week, that out of 5 to 7 posts, you probably don't want more than one that's like really evident that it's about a specific product, if that makes sense. So because people will kind of see a little bit more variety, and they're going to be, I think, more apt to pay attention to your page. Like, what's she sharing today, you know, type of thing. So I thought that was really eye-opening. I did not know that for a very long time. And so, like I said, I don't think it's that we can't ever share those, but I think if we can just to try to use them more strategically as far as when you do that, to kind of maybe have like a product of the week highlight or something like that. I think that would be totally fine. I just thought that was super interesting. So,
Oops.
I love your giggle. All right, last little bit here, ladies, and then we can open it up for whatever questions or whatever you want to share. But one thing that I have found, one thing that I found super helpful as I kind of decided like what I'm sharing each week, and this goes for Plexus and just across the board. So no matter what I'm sharing, is I always ask myself some of these questions. Number one, is this adding value? Am I making a deposit into somebody's life by sharing this? Second, would this speak to the person that I am wanting to reach? Okay. Am I talking to them? Can they see themselves in what I'm sharing? Third, will this draw people to me, or will it put up their guard? Okay. Fourth, if I read this on somebody else's page, would I feel sold to? And then fifth, is it communicating to them what's in it for them? Is it communicating, reaching a need of theirs? Okay. So other than that, that is the bulk of what I had tonight. And I think this can definitely be an ongoing conversation. Like I said, it is a work in progress for me, and I do not have this all figured out, but I just wanted to let you know kind of the direction that I'm trying to move in, just because what I've been learning and what I've been hearing from other people, feeling like we need to do some things different so that we are, essentially attracting the people that we want to help. I mean, that's the whole reason that we are attracting those people. Okay. So a couple names for you. I'm still researching this. I've been looking long and hard. I'm looking specifically for Plexus ambassadors who are very successful, who are also doing attraction marketing very well. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm having a hard time finding people who've been doing this for a while who are kind of moving in this direction. And so one of those names is Brooke Hemingway. You might have heard of her. She is a double diamond. So she is extremely successful, but you might want to start following her page. I love it. It's really, really good. And another one is Emily Gernot. She is part of, she's a sideline to us. So I think her sponsor, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank. I feel like her sponsor might be Sally Voss, or one of them anyways. But she is a little bit more business oriented, focuses a ton on leadership and that type of thing, but she does still talk about some of the health side as well. But she is just an amazing storyteller. So she has just got a knack for this. So I feel like she does this very well. So those are two names I really feel comfortable passing along to right now, and I'm going to keep on looking for people. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be following what our other upline is doing. That is not at all what I'm saying. There's still tons of value I think that we can get from them, and they do have, I do see the splash into their stuff. But I also feel like there can be some growth in this, just for our upline, for our team in general. And so I think the conversations are starting. I think people are recognizing this. So I just felt really led to share that with you guys. I feel like I'm responsible for helping, you understand what's going on in this world and how we can best use this to serve people that we really care about. So I hope this is helpful and gives you some ideas, but just wondering if you want to open it up here for a little conversation. I think I saw a couple questions. I'm still getting the knack of this, you guys, to follow like chats. To follow chats that are happening and stay on track. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Jessica, you want me to go over those questions one more time? I can do that. All right.
Can you go over all of them?
Yes, I sure can. And I'll go slow, okay? All right, so first question, is this adding value? Second is, would this speak to the person I'm wanting to reach? Okay, for the next one. All right, will this draw people to me, or will it put up their guard? And then fourth is, would I feel sold to? Like if I saw this on somebody else's page, would I feel sold to? And then last of all, is it communicating what's in it for them? Does that help?
Yes.
Okay. Good. All right. questions, comments? I hope more than anything it's encouraging. So. Go for it, Fred.
A little bit like, how do I sell something without, like, I feel like I have like this heavy weight of, okay, so like, I kind of feel like a snob in a way, because I'm like, okay, well, what do poor people do who can't afford this stuff, that like they really want to make this change, and like they really want to do something that's better for their health, and they can't. So then it kind of like discourages me. Like, I don't know, like I think about that a lot, because I'm trying to make like a whole lot of transitions in my house. Not just with supplements, but the products I use and stuff. And so how do you, I guess, kind of get over that? Because it's like, you can't, I don't know. Like, I guess that's kind of where I'm feeling a little bit like discouraged, I guess, in trying to sell things.
I totally get where you're coming from. And I think it's very valid, and I think it shows your heart, that you really are wanting to love people, and, you don't want to make them feel, I kind of hear from you, you don't want to make them feel less than necessarily by what you're sharing. I used to struggle with that a little bit too. And I think one of the things that helped me kind of get over that fear a little bit was, if we are not going to share something with someone by making an assumption for them or making a decision for them, ultimately we are holding something back that really could change their life. And so I think it's important that we're never ruling anybody out. Even if it doesn't look on the surface like they could ever afford it, I think it's really important that we don't make that decision for them, that we're still offering, the solution, the opportunity. And I think one thing, we all know that there is an opportunity here. And so if someone needs the products, we can help them find a way to pay for them, for sure. You know what I mean? Obviously, they have to be willing. They have to be willing to be open to that, for sure. But I think it's okay to be honest with them and just say, this might be really hard for you. I never want to see finances or anything be an obstacle for you. So would you be open to talking about how we could make this possible, for your family? So I think that's maybe one side of it. The other side of it is, with you making the changes in your own life, and you could speak to how maybe that has felt overwhelming for you. Like, maybe we were in a place financially to do this, or there's all these changes I want to make, and it's so hard to know which one to make first. So this is where I decided to start. I'm just going to start here. I'm starting with my shampoo, friends. Like, talk about really where did you start? And I think that's going to make it really relatable to the people that you're trying to reach. And I think the beautiful thing about this is we do really have a gift to share. And for some people, this literally could change their life, health or finances. I have heard in going to convention countless stories, you guys, of people who their water was shut off, and they ordered their welcome pack in faith because they saw an opportunity, put it on a credit card, and now they're doing so phenomenally well. So I've heard so many stories like that. So I think it's just really important that we recognize that we're not making this decision for them. And I think if you're coming from that place of authenticity, Jessica, and sharing some of what that's looked like for you, I don't think that people are going to get that sense from you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are your thoughts on that?
What
was that?
On what you just said? I mean, yeah. But yeah, like, yeah, I still have it.
That's okay.
I think it's something that I think I just have to, I don't work through some of those things, and like I feel like it's maybe like a conscience issue. Like I feel like I'm kind of like dangling a carrot that someone can have. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I totally get where you're coming from. That makes sense to me too, for sure. And I think, I mean, even if, what if just by sharing the education, it just opens your eyes, you know, there might be a different solution for my health, whether it's now or whether it's some years down the road, you know. But I think just letting people know that there is something different out there that could really offer some hope to them. And you're
Mhm.
right, there is, you will hear over and over again that this business, it's really like 20% skill set, it's 80% mindset. Like the stories that we tell ourselves up here are probably some of the things that get us the farthest in this and some of the things that hold us back the most. And it's okay to have those things. And I think I really admire you for even verbalizing that and being aware of that. And I think just the fact that you are, it's going to really make you very sensitive to how you're sharing things. And I think that's going to really be a gift to people. So, okay. Any other questions or even thoughts about what Jessica had shared? Anybody else? No? How are you guys, you can be honest with me, how are you feeling after me sharing this? Because the last thing I would want you to do it to be feeling is discouraged or anything like that, right? So I think that was part of my fears. I didn't want to shut anybody down in sharing this. My heart behind it was wanting to give you some more tools so that you can continue to kind of refine, you know, this part of your business. And this is only a small part of it. You know, there's honestly the messaging and reaching out to people directly, that's really the biggest part of this. But the our what we share on social media does have an effect on what we're doing as well. So are you able to be honest with me? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling inspired?
Yeah.
All of the above, right?
Oh my
I
goodness, you crack me up.
I think it's good because, like, in reality, like, just starting this, it's not going to be perfect, right? And I think one of the things I've heard over and over the last couple of months is, like, we need to be coachable. Like, and it's hard, especially as women, to not necessarily take things personally and to, like, listen to it objectively. No, I think you did a good job. It was
Amen.
good. It was good.
Thank you. Appreciate that so much.
I appreciate it because I think I got caught up in the IPA thing with the reach outs, and I was just wanting to check that box. And so I was just reaching out to people without relationship building at all. And so it explains a lot of my crickets and my no's. And if I could have been more intentional with even just reaching out relationship wise, not plexus wise, I might be a little bit closer to, you know, getting somewhere with them, as opposed to, whoa, she hasn't talked to me in years, and now she wants me to, you know, look into what she's into. So I appreciate that huge.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think there can be kind of a healthy mix of that. You know, we talk about relationship building is huge in this for sure. And we can do that through messaging. We can even do that through commenting and engaging with people, you know, as they're reaching out on our posts and that type of thing. You can even sometimes count IPA as intentional relationship building by going to someone's page and just commenting, ask them an authentic question like, oh my goodness, that was a great post, and what really resonated with you, and work on building relationship that way. So there's a lot of ways that you can definitely use, you know, your time on social media. But I think that's really valuable takeaway, Emily. And I think what I kind of love about what I shared tonight too is we can sort of carry that over into our messaging with people. Ask ourselves these same questions, you know, as we're reaching out to people. And but I think there can be a really good mix of that. So the one thing that always has given me confidence is, as someone has always said, you know, you can never say the wrong thing to the right person. So don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt your heart. If you know you reach out from a place of love and authenticity, don't doubt yourself. Even if you've got crickets, it happens to everybody. In fact, probably I would say, I think they say, you know, expect about a 10% response rate on your messages that you send out, and that's normal. That's very normal. It's not that you don't follow up with that person, but you're not out of the norm if that's the case. I would say it's been less for me this month. I've had this month. So you're not alone. It happens to everybody. No matter how long you've been doing this. Just because you got crickets doesn't mean you did something wrong. I think that's important to remember. Okay. But and I think I love it with this conversation going, because maybe as we're learning things too, like, oh my goodness, this seems to be working really well for me, and we can kind of, just encourage each other along the way too, because I feel like kind of exciting. It's like we're blazing a trail, you know, of developing something new and exciting, and it's, no matter what, it's always better to share than to not share at all. So just remember that. Okay. You guys are doing amazing.
I will say one of the things that I have noticed, and this kind of goes with when you were talking about like pictures and all that are the things that attract people the most.
Mhm.
I get more interaction out of like the stories on Facebook and Instagram both
For sure.
than my posts.
Like in the
I don't
stories
know.
function at the top, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. And I don't know if it's just because, you know, like everybody's living in this like quick, like I want to check everything fast paced life, that
Yeah.
they can just scroll through that and see those things a lot quicker than like scrolling through their feed and it's like the same thing over and over again.
That's good to know. Whoops.
Engage with a little bit quicker than what some of the other posts are. That's what
Yeah.
I've found recently anyways.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. That's super helpful. And there's so many fun functions on those. Can you guys hear me okay? I know my internet's going a little wonky.
Can hear
Okay.
you. You're just, I can't see you.
Okay. Okay.
Freeze frame.
But there are so many cool functions on that. I have not even started. Rachel, you're so good at that. And so feel free to share ideas. If you're like, hey, this worked really well today, you can always pop that into the Restoring Wholeness chat. I love it